Once upon a time, there lived a man named Akpofure. He had a very beautiful wife named Onajite, and together they had a pretty daughter. Akpofure was a businessman who owned a big cocoa farm and a plantain plantation. He opened a large supermarket for his wife Onajite. The small family of three was very happy, and their happiness doubled when Onajite shared the news of her pregnancy. Their daughter Onome couldn't wait to have a sibling. At almost 7 years old, she longed for someone to play with when she was at home. When Onajite was 7 months pregnant, her husband urged her to stop going to her shop and suggested that she could manage it from home, while visiting the supermarket only once a week or when necessary. Akpofure took Onome to school while going to work, and they chatted happily, both eagerly anticipating the arrival of the new child. Onajite had just finished taking a bath when she heard the telephone ringing from downstairs. She quickly wrapped a towel around her chest and hurried down the stairs. However, with her body still wet, she slipped and fell down, screaming in agony. Onajite looked down at her legs and saw that she was bleeding, which filled her with so much fear. She struggled to reach the phone, but she couldn't lift herself from the floor. Feeling helpless, she prayed for someone to barge into the house. Unfortunately, the cleaner and the cook were on their days off. "Oh my God, is this how I'm going to die without anyone noticing?" Onajite cried out, while the telephone continued ringing incessantly. After a while of trying to lift herself, Onajite closed her eyes as darkness enveloped her. In the afternoon, Onome returned home to a horrifying scene. She saw her mother lying motionless on the floor and ran to her with tears streaming down her face. "Mommy, Mommy," she cried out desperately, but there was no response. Onome hurriedly dialed her father's office number, and he answered after the first ring. "Father, please come home. Come home, please," Onome pleaded. Akpofure didn't ask what the problem was. He drove his car faster than ever, with Onome's panicked voice echoing in his head. He arrived home shortly and witnessed the horrifying sight. "Honey, honey, please talk to me," he pleaded, but there was still no response from Onajite. He assured Onome that her mother would be fine. He kissed her forehead and then carried Onajite to the hospital. The nurses approached him and placed her on a stretcher, taking her into a room. The doctor arrived almost immediately, checked her faint heartbeat, and instructed the nurse to administer an oxygen and prepare her for an emergency operation. Akpofure was extremely worried. He couldn't bear the thought of anything happening to his wife and unborn child. The doctor realized that the baby could not survive, so they attempted to perform an emergency procedure to save the mother's life. However, Onajite passed away shortly after the operation. When the news reached Akpofure, he collapsed on the ground, holding his head in his hands as tears streamed down his face. His wife had been healthy that morning when he left her, but now she was gone forever. He left the hospital to return home to Onome. When Onome saw him, she asked for her mother, but her father remained silent, his face filled with gloom and sadness. Akpofure held Onome tightly and they cried together. A month later, Onajite was buried. Akpofure and Onome's lives had undergone a drastic change. Akpofure's mother came to stay with them for a while as they tried to recover from their loss. Akpofure's business had been struggling since he lost his wife. After 8 months, he returned to his workplace and Onome went back to school. Despite her academic performance suffering, her teachers expressed their concern. They understood that she was still grieving and missed her mother dearly. Onome's class teacher, Mrs. Eloho, empathized with her situation. Onome, once a friendly and brilliant girl, had lost her smile since the tragedy. She became withdrawn, refusing to play with her friends and isolating herself, becoming a mere shadow of her former self. Miss Eloho met with Akpofure and explained the situation, suggesting that Onome might benefit from seeing a therapist. Akpofure recognized Eloho's genuine care for Onome and asked her to get closer to her, as Onome needed someone to fill the void in her life. Eloho agreed and slowly approached Onome, gradually gaining her trust. They spent time together during weekends, going shopping and visiting the cinema. Onome began to show signs of improvement as the days passed, and Akpofure witnessed the positive changes. He invited Eloho to dinner to express his gratitude, and she accepted the invitation. As time went on, Eloho embedded herself in the heart of both father and daughter. 3 years later, Akpofure felt ready to start dating again, so he asked Eloho out, who had secretly harbored feelings for him since they first met. She was thrilled when he asked her to be his girlfriend, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Eventually, Akpofure proposed to Eloho, but she hesitated, unsure if Onome would accept her as a mother figure. Akpofure reassured her, stating that Onome loved her and will welcome her in that role. When Onome learned about the proposal, she was displeased. Despite Akpofure's reassurance, Onome struggled to accept Eloho. Akpofure and Eloho had a small wedding within the family, avoiding a large gathering. Eloho moved in with them and took on the role of a mother to Onome and a wife to Akpofure. However, Onome found fault in everything Eloho did, resenting her presence. Onome believed that Eloho had come to take her father's love and attention away from her, and she saw Eloho as a replacement for her late mother. Even after 4 years, Onome was unwilling to accept another woman as her father's wife. She would refuse to eat whenever Eloho cooked, and would cry until her father came home if Eloho scolded her for her behavior. Onome would falsely accuse Eloho of mistreatment, and Akpofure would scold Eloho, questioning her intention and expressing disappointment. Eloho would try to defend herself, but Akpofure's unwavering trust in his daughter strained their relationship. Eloho would cry and question her decision to marry Akpofure. Determined to find a solution, she decided to have a talk with Onome. Eloho confronted Onome, asking why she was treating her this way when she had only been kind towards her. Onome, what have I done for you to treat me this way? I have been nothing but kind towards you, but you go ahead and lie to your father, and he blindly believed you. Eloho, she called her by her name, and Eloho had a surprised look on her face. Oh, I would never call you mother. You will never be my mother, you cunning woman. You came into this house like a good woman, and you succeeded in making my father marry you and making him forget about my mother. Onome, you should talk to me with some respect. I love you and your father. I am not here to make your father forget about your mother. She will always be a part of this family. I deserve some respect from you, so stop with the lies, please. You are going to destroy my marriage with your father, Eloho said. I plan to do just that, Onome replied as she stood up and left. Onome's disrespectful behavior deeply hurt Eloho, who pleaded for respect and understanding. Despite her efforts, Onome left the conversation, leaving Eloho shocked. As time passed, Onome continued to fabricate lies, and Akpofure, seeing her as his sweet little girl, believed her every word. Few years into their marriage, Eloho contemplated leaving as she felt drained and unappreciated. Nothing she did seemed to be enough, and Akpofure remained oblivious to her struggles. Whenever she planned to leave, she received encouragement from her mother not to give up hope. But things only worsened. Eloho tried to avoid confrontation with Onome to reduce stress and improve her chances of conceiving. But Onome's heart grew darker and darker as she grew older. One sunny afternoon, Eloho discovered a leak in the bathroom sink and called a plumber to come fix it. The plumber was still there when Onome returned from school. She smirked as an evil plan formed in her head, and then she called her father, saying that Eloho had a man in their room. Akpofure rushed home, but by the time he arrived, the plumber had finished the work and was about to leave. Akpofure shouted at the man to stop and went to call Eloho, accusing her of infidelity and questioning the paternity of their unborn child. Eloho held her stomach, confused and hurt. She turned to Onome, who had a smile on her face. "Pack your bags and leave this house, you cheating wife," Akpofure demanded. Eloho tried to explain, but Akpofure refused to listen or believe her. He gathered her belongings and threw them to the ground like trash. With tears streaming down her face, Eloho packed her bags and left. The plumber, bewildered by the situation, left as well. Eloho went back to her mother's house and received divorce papers from Akpofure, which she signed without much thought. As time went on, Eloho's stomach grew with life inside. She had been doing well for herself before marrying Akpofure, so she was able to take care of herself and her unborn child. Sometimes she would cry at night, longing for a happy family with her husband and children. Onome, satisfied that her stepmother had left, believed that her father would give her all his attention and would always believe her, even if she lied. Onome soon graduated from high school and gained admission into the university. Eloho soon gave birth to a son who she named Efe. Efe looked exactly like his father, which made Eloho cry even more. She poured all her energy into caring for her son. When Efe turned 1, Eloho received a big business proposal that made her travel to another state and was doing well for herself. Akpofure met Egwavon, his business partner, and thought that she would make the perfect wife. They started dating and discovered they had a lot of things in common. Akpofure decided to propose and Egwavon accepted. Onome didn't mind her father getting another wife, as she had her own boyfriend, Ovie, whom she loved dearly, and she believed that Ovie loved her too. Ovie was in his second year at the university when he noticed Onome. He was smitten by her beauty and intelligence. He asked her to be his girlfriend, and she happily accepted. Onome was over the moon with happiness. Ovie was handsome, rich, and smart. She loved him deeply. Meanwhile, Akpofure's business started to decline, and he couldn't figure out the cause. He confided in his wife Egwavon, who provided comfort and support. Eloho, on the other hand, had saved up enough money and opened her own chain of restaurants. Men approached her on a daily basis seeking a relationship, but she wasn't ready to settle down with anyone yet. Onome noticed that she had missed her menstrual flow for the month, which she found strange. She took home a pregnancy test and confirmed that she was pregnant. But when she told Ovie, he told her blatantly that he was not ready to become a father. Onome was devastated and confronted Ovie, asking why he didn't love her anymore. She also shared the news with her father, who was deeply disappointed in her. Akpofure insisted that Ovie come and see him, but Ovie refused. Onome had to contact Ovie's sister, who provided her parents' contact information. Akpofure called them, explained the situation, and they promised to come. 2 days later, they all met, and Ovie's parents agreed to marry her into their family. Upon hearing this, Ovie was against the marriage, but there was no turning back. Ovie's parents brought drinks and paid Onome's bride price. She was then taken to Ovie's family house, where she discovered 2 other pregnant women and 2 children. She was introduced to them as Ovie's first and second wives, and the children belonged to other women who had been pregnanted by Ovie but chose not to marry him. Onome felt tears streaming down her face. She realized that she truly never knew Ovie. The children demanded unreasonable things at all hours, and when she refused, they would cry and throw tantrums, attracting the attention and scolding of others in the house. That was when she knew she had been caught in her web of lies. She cried as she remembered what she had done to Eloho. It felt like karma had come back for her. She called her father and explained everything to him. Akpofure was beyond angry. Onome, I never knew you were capable of such things, and I blindly trusted you, he said. He ended the call and drove out of the house in search for Eloho to beg for her forgiveness. He believed she had cursed him, which was why his business was failing, but little did he know. He went to her mother's place, but she told him that Eloho no longer stayed with her and that he should stop looking for her, that she had moved on and was doing better than ever. He returned home and saw a strange car parked in his compound. He entered the house and found his wife Egwavon in the arms of another man, none other than Umudiaga, his business competitor. They were laughing loudly. Egwavon was Umudiaga's sister, a fact that not many knew. She had married Akpofure to steal his business secrets and give them to her brother. That was the reason why Akpofure's customer no longer wanted to buy goods for him. Umudiaga would go to them before Akpofure and offer them at cheaper rates. Akpofure felt his world turn upside down. He was at loss for himself. Life is indeed strange. The moral of this story is, firstly, pregnant women should have someone with them at all times, if possible. They should also avoid activities that endanger their pregnancy, such as walking with wet feet or running. Secondly, as a child, if you feel uncomfortable with a decision your parents had made that might affect you and they didn't ask for your consent, you should be able to talk to them in a calm voice. They might understand from your perspective, and if assurance is needed, you might get one. Lastly, lies are a slippery slope. Every lie begets another lie, and it might ultimately consume its victim. Sometimes, even when the truth is told, it might be mistaken for a lie. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if there's anything that you have learned from this story, please put it down in the comment section below. See you in the next one. Bye.